Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime series with me, Kevin Britz, proudly powered by leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday on lunchtime or at lunchtime on ebizradio.com and all your major podcast channels today. If you are seeing this, then I want to challenge you to add value to someone's life today. We certainly need more people to add value to others and to be kinder to one another. With this in mind, in today's marketing and leadership segment, joining us as per usual, marketing communications expert Craig Pagely. How are you doing, Craig?
Kevin, I'm great. Yeah, good to be chatting again. Thanks. On this, our third last show for 2023. How are you doing? And when does work ease up for you?
Yeah, so work for me has, I say it's eased up, but I've got coaching clients still,
pestering you.
like happening in December. So I'm like, okay, well, you guys, let's do it. Like, if I have some time, let's do it. So, I'm with the big programs I'm like that have been completed, had wonderful success around the sales leader as coach program, and I'm currently working on the philosophy of leadership with sovereignty and agency. So doing some nice things, and I think 2024 is going to be a kick-ass year. And yourself, Craig?
Those are two big words, Kevin.
They are. But I want to, there's an emphasis. I want to place an emphasis on the importance of leadership. People, people see it as a title usually, and it's so much more than just a title. I mean, we speak of self-governance and autonomy, and being able to make choices and exercise one's free will, but also the consideration of being accountable to your actions, and being able to make people feel safe and heard and listened to. So it's a culmination of things, which I think is a beautiful way that 2024 is going to be expressed in a way that it sort of sets the foundation to everything that we do. There's I think one of the recent interviews that I did with a leader from New York actually mentioned sovereignty and agency of leadership, and I was like, well, that's a beautiful way of putting it. And I was like, and I went and did a whole bunch of research on that, and I was like, okay, so what does that exactly mean if that's the way that you show up? It's her insight from that was, as leaders of the future, you have to decide. You're either with us or you're the other side. So if we are leaders, then we are here to make a difference to people's lives, and if you're not, then you're everything else.
Well, that's fantastic. That actually plugs nicely into quite a bit of the conversation I had today. I've been sitting in a strategy session with the Human Capital Agency since 7:30 this morning, and definitely it's really employee experience came up as a key conversation point in many of the instances, your EVP to EB, but really the role of leadership in driving that and participating in that. So it'd be great to pick up on that conversation in respect of the two themes that you talk about.
Absolutely, we should do it. We should make it a nice conversation piece.
Yes.
But Craig, from our conversation last week, what are some of the key reminders from last week's conversation?
Kevin, thanks. We continued the theme on marketing budgets last week, this time getting into understanding where marketing budgets were actually being allocated, specifically in terms of the respective platforms and channels, and what the leading predictions are for advertising spend in 2024. And I want to reference the Ubiquity WFA, World Federation of Advertisers annual media budgets 2024 survey for our key takeaway points. So, Kevin, according to WARC's UK data, advertising budgets will increase by 3.9% in 2024, reaching $45 million, £37.5 million. According to WARC's US data, advertising budgets will increase by 7.6% in 24, reaching $326.7 billion. This accounting for over just 1/3 of global advertising spend. What's interesting, seeing the likes of the US increasing at almost 50% more than the UK. According to WARC's European data, advertising budgets will increase by 3.6% for 2024. And then coming back closer to home, according to WARC's Africa data, advertising budgets will increase on the back of a big $11.6 decline in 2023, but the growth is supported by an anticipated 6.1% growth in the South African market for 2024. CMOs are spending their budgets across the full digital spectrum, including display, video, search, and social. These are dominant global media plans. The 5 biggest tech firms, Alibaba, Alphabet, Amazon, ByteDance, which is TikTok's owner, and obviously Meta, they will account for 51.9% of total global advertising spend in 2024, Kevin. And interestingly, their revenues are expected to rise at around 10.7% as well. Advanced retail media networks are among the fastest growing advertising channels. Walk predicts that the retail media spend will increase by 10.5% year on year, rising to 141.7 billion in 2024, and representing as much as 13.6% of total advertising spend. So, that's the Amazon's right up front in that regard. Social media will be the fastest growing medium. Spend will rise $227.2 billion in total, or 21.8% of total spend. Now, interestingly, Meta will make up as much as 64.4% of the spend, Kevin. Connected TV is projected to grow by 12.1%, reaching a total of 33 billion, while only representing 3.2% of total advertising spend. Connected TV still represents 16.2% of premium video spend, which is the combination of connected TV and linear TV combined. Linear TV spend continues to decline expectedly, but still remains the world's third largest single medium, with 15% of the market, or $163 billion in 2024. And then used together, this traditional and digital marketing reach definitely will be the way to go, reaching many more eyeballs and helping to build and keep the trust in place, and helping to motivate buyers and at least buying from consumers who otherwise tune out of all these marketing messages. So the combinations are critical, and traditional is going to be around for a little while longer still, Kevin. And those are the key reminder points from last week.
Greg, I'm just and we don't have to talk about it now, but it's an interesting kind of stat that you have there, with 64.4% of Meta being spent there. Because, from at face value, everyone, and again, it's a great gross generalization, but at face value, you would think that Facebook and the likes is a dying medium. If you look at the impact that TikTok and LinkedIn has burst into, just in the last couple of years, but yet 64% is more than half. So you're kind of going like, I don't know, am I missing something?
I think it's going to be short-lived. I think it's definitely going to be on a decline. There's a lot of great stuff we're going to talk about today around TikTok in particular. Instagram, though, at the other end of the spectrum, Insta is incredibly popular and working incredibly well. So, what the splits across the holding company represents, I'm not 100% familiar with, but definitely Meta, I think, will continue to show a slow downward projection, while some of the other channels really start moving upwards. And Alibaba in particular is really making inroads into markets outside of China and gaining great traction.
Which is fantastic, because I think Amazon needs some, it needs some competition.
Yes.
But guys, if you want to check that out, go and see. You can see it on all your major podcast channels, and you can catch the Lunchtime series on YouTube as well. But Craig, for today's conversation, what do we have on the agenda?
Kevin, as we learned from last week, social media is still the fastest growing digital advertising medium. And when it comes to messaging these days, social video is king. Referencing an article written by Megan Poinski, according to TikTok, the app had more than 150 million active users in the US in March alone.
Sure. With
9 out of 10 customers noting that video helps them make buying decisions. Hence the key focus that social video is king. The reason I mention this is that no age group consumes more social media than Gen Z, social video media. And I therefore want to look at what brands actually need to do to ensure that they remain relevant and of value to this incredibly influential generation, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, Craig, like the 150 million active users is almost more than half. It's what they have, about just under 300 million people in that country.
Substantial.
So I mean, that's a big market. So, but I mean, you mentioned that social video is king. So obviously including the TikTok in this definition, Craig.
Yeah, most definitely, Kevin. But before getting into the question, I just want to remind our listeners that yeah, because I mentioned Gen Z earlier, and this is really the space and place that they play. Gen Z refers to those born between 1997 and 2012. So we just fall out of that gap, unfortunately. Getting back to Megan Poinski's article, TikTok is the default platform for Gen Z, Kevin, which is validated again in Horizon Media's 2023 Gen Z Field Guide, where it notes that, take a note, 74% of people in this age group use TikTok, not just for social engagement, but as a search platform, with 51% preferring it over Google search, Kevin.
But that's quite an interesting fact, right? Because usually your go-to would be an obvious Google search. But I mean, now, video obviously is taking over to that rate that, people would rather find something to watch than actually just a link.
So I think the power of this platform is just, it's priceless. It really is priceless, because TikTok has been used in a real-time manner where people are almost doing real-time broadcasts of news on their own individual channels. They're doing real-time broadcast of points of view, of recommendations, brand recommendations or not. So it really is a good aggregator of essential points to get in the moment real-time feedback and opinion, but also just getting to understand the positive and negatives from influence as well, and then just seeing really great tailored, relevant content to your lifestyle and your needs, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things one of the things that you noted now is I've actually seen a newscaster on some random news channel in America that he just puts his phone on there and runs the live of the news while people are just talking. I'm like, that's what people are watching.
So it's this whole aggregated real-time content feed, and you just pick up the pieces that you need as you go along. I think it's fantastic. I really do.
Yeah.
Kevin, Matt Higgins, who's the head of strategy at Blue Hour Studios, which is the influencer marketing unit of Horizon Media, the guys I mentioned who produced the report, he notes that social media, so think TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, is really becoming more like entertainment. It's actually replacing cable TV. It's replacing channel flipping. As we all know, TikTok is one of the most important channels for mastering social media messaging, which in turn is one of the best ways to reach Gen Z consumers. And a point that stands out for me here is not just Gen Zs that are using the platform. Take note of this. The Horizon study found that parents of Gen Zers who are between the age of 13 to 17 years old are 20% more likely to say their kids influence their brand purchase behavior. And yeah, what's great about the fact is to quote this from the article, social video works as a targeting tool for all generations, displaying a more experiential taste of brands, places, restaurants, and activities to be shared across generations.
Craig, I'm guilty. I'm one of those parents. I get stuck on TikTok like for hours. If I don't check myself, I quickly get stuck there. So I'm guilty of it, and there must be some psychology behind it. There must be I don't know what it is, but there has to be some psychology behind the fact that people would sit there. I mean, and I'm guilty of doing that. The TV's on, the TV's playing, and I would be on TikTok, and I'm like, so are we watching this? Are we watching that?
Wow.
So it's a dual screening, and I'm like, I'm guilty of that. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I mean, what can you tell us about how marketers can connect with Generation Z?
Yeah, Kevin, according to Bloomberg report, Gen Z make up about 20% of the USA population. with about $360 billion in disposable income. As expected, Gen Z have their own ways of looking at the world and interpreting messages. As such, brands really do need to adapt their marketing strategies to meet this generation where they expect to be met. Very important point. And to this extent, I want to pick up an article I came across titled 7 Strategies to Market to a Gen Z Audience. And the article was written by Jacqueline Zote, a freelance writer and content producer, and was published to influencermarketinghub.com, the digital marketing section. And the article was updated as recently as the 23rd of November this year. The article opens with the following statement. Generational marketing has always been the go-to approach for many brands, as it allows them to adapt their messaging according to the needs, pain points, and preferences unique to a specific age group. For the past decade or so, brands were striving to reach millennials since they commanded significant buying power in the global market. But as the buying power of Gen Z consumers gradually increases, brands may need to shift their focus towards marketing to a younger audience. And, there's a lot of regulatory aspects that come with marketing to younger audiences, but brands really do need to understand the need to be present in the younger audience's lives.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge, okay, because if I look at my daughter, I mean, she's still a bit young, but I mean, even appealing to her in any way, she's very dismissive of a lot, and I don't know if that's just being a teen, but that whole age group, that are moving into workforce, or they've just moved into the workforce, are incredibly difficult to appeal to. So it's maybe this is a strategy that corporates should start considering, because maybe that's way of tapping into that psyche.
The 7 points will hopefully help marketers understand how to successfully engage and connect with this audience, Kevin. So let's take a look at each of these in a bit more detail. And what's interesting here is these are not new strategies. The combination of the strategies really make a great collective sense, and they actually belong to a multitude of generations, but the nature of the way they're interpreted and the activities behind each of the topics is really what is going to create that hook for Gen Z. So the first strategy is establish a relatable brand identity. Excuse me. Brands need to understand whether Gen Z will be able to relate to their brand. If the brand is fun and approachable, if the brand voice resonates with Gen Z audience, all vitally important. Brands need to align their identity with the type of audience they want to reach, which means looking at the interests and preferences of a Gen Z society and audience. Brands, again, need to align the language they use in the interactions with Gen Z and develop an identity that's more relatable to this generation, this including adapting the overall brand personality and tone and developing a very strong visual identity that will appeal to Gen Z. And that visual identity aspect ties in nicely with social video component, Kevin.
Yeah, I must actually change it, but I'll chat to you after the show about this, Craig. But there's 3 constructs that someone mentioned earlier on one of the platforms I was watching, that when you and I were younger, we had work that we could go to, we had church we could go to, and then we were forced to be social. So if you didn't go to someone's house or arrange an actual party, you wouldn't be social. Where that third element is literally being taken away from generations at this point. So the social element that is really conducive to human connection is slowly being withdrawn, and that's why there's such an uprising of people feeling alone, and these narratives that you do hear. So I mean, when you hear about targeting an audience, it becomes quite tricky, because you've got to keep them you got to really keep them engaged for them to actually buy into something.
And I think to that point, we do pick up on an aspect of that point, Kevin, later on in one of the 7 strategies, is really what do those new communities look like? Because the social that you and I are aware of, as you mentioned, was very much around in-person engagement. Social of today is through a screen and a keyboard, which really has a very different outcome attached to it.
And that's why exactly, why social intelligence is part of the Wings concept, and it's a primary skill, because we need to make sure that we don't unlearn social skills and the ability to socialize.
Yeah, great point. Yes.
Sorry,
Jumping into the second strategy, this is be where your audience is. And from the outset, brands just have to meet Gen Z where they are. It's as simple as that. This means focusing on specific channels and platforms that are frequently used by Gen Z. And going back to your question around Meta and particularly Facebook, just remember that Gen Z hardly ever use Facebook. Take a note of this. 10 years ago, Kevin, 71% of teens in the USA used Facebook on a regular basis. This has dropped to just 32% in 2023, with YouTube being the most popular choice, as 95% of US teens use YouTube. TikTok has definitely changed the game. It comes in at second as the second most used social media platform, with 67% of US teens using it. Coming a close third is Instagram. I did mention, Insta earlier on, still right up there. They came in with 62% of US teens using it, and Snapchat still highly prevalent in this market, with 59% of US teens using it. Kevin.
Just on a note, Craig, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Snapchat did an upgrade where you could share your location with your friends, but they didn't inform anyone that they were upgrading the actual app. So what that then meant was, because my daughter was on Snapchat, and I saw this video that the upgrade showed that your pin location was available. So it's a frightening, because then you can see where are you in relation to your friends, basically, right? So like where's this one and where's that one, but if you're friends with the wrong kinds of people,
yes, very much so.
So it's scary to hear that 59% of the US teens are still using Snapchat, because it's literally location based, and you don't switch it off. It's there.
Is that still an active performance criteria or enablement of the app, or have they actually stepped in and tried to eliminate that, because that has huge risks to it?
I'm not sure if they have, but all I know is, when I saw this, I was like, okay, get off the app, babe.
Yeah, goodness me.
Cancel that app quite quickly. So
yeah.
It is concerning, though, because 59% is a lot of people.
It is, Kevin. Jumping back in, the third strategy is put transparency and accountability front and center. This is a point that we've picked up a lot, and it ties nicely into some of the sustainability aspects. So Gen Z really want to make sure that they're doing business with the brands whose values and beliefs align with theirs, and they would switch to a different brand without hesitation if they feel that its core values are better aligned with theirs. Brands therefore need to highlight their values, practices, and beliefs in a transparent manner if they are to connect with this generation. This will allow Gen Z to make an informed decision and help them understand the brand's social, environmental, and economic impact. And Kevin, this generation is much more socially conscious and inquisitive enough to do their own research about brands compared to other generations. So again, core here is that there's no greenwashing or nonsense that's been espoused about the brand. Among the core brand values that appeal to Gen Z is diversity, sustainability, environmentalism, world hunger, and climate change. And they also expect brands to drive societal change and engage in fair labor practices. Really, really good attributes there.
Well, what's nice about that, it's quite comforting, Craig, because in 10 years from now, climate change is happening at the rate it is. But in 10 years from now, Gen Z a lot of them will be decision makers. And how that plays out is going to impact brands and impact the planet itself.
Well, let's hope that they do have a reasonably healthy planet to be existing in, because I think some of those decisions of most recent years have not been the correct decisions, particularly around the fossil fuel industries and things like that. So I think they're going to be left with a lot of negative repercussions to deal with, but hopefully they are able to overcome that. Kevin, the fourth strategy is focus on brand inclusivity, and a nice build on transparency and accountability here. So brand inclusivity is very important to Gen Z consumers, which means that the brand must focus on inclusivity in every aspect of the business, including their product marketing. Brands need to develop products and services that address Gen Z's unique needs and challenges of different people, such as race, skin color, gender, and physical ability. Mentioning Snapchat earlier, Snapchat study found that promoting healthy and inclusive workplace cultures for employees is a key purchase driver for 63% of Gen Z users. Beyond creating this inclusive marketing content and products, inclusivity has to be part of the brand's essence, transcending internally in the way that the brand treats employees and operates as a business as well. Kevin, really, really good to see that it's getting under the bonnet and under the skin of these businesses.
Well, also, Craig, when we grew up, we got hidings, right? So this whole segment of our population didn't get hidings. So if you consider like promoting healthy, inclusive workplace culture, it really does speak to how the evolution of what we're experiencing as humans on the planet, and how generations, have changed the narrative and are changing the narrative of how the world works and how they experience workplace and just the culture in itself. So it's nice to hear. It's when you hear things like this, promoting healthy, inclusive workplace cultures, mental health being a serious issue in the world.
Yes.
Toxic work environments that people now at this level, they don't, they make business from it or make it their own business to find out, is this a kind of culture that I want to belong to? So it's that people are doing this.
And hopefully we're seeing the emergence of a world that is more caring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Kevin, the fifth strategy is entice them with exclusive deals and offers. As with other generations, Gen Z consumers definitely appreciate deals and offers, with almost 70% of Gen Zers following a brand on social media, mainly because they want to get access to deals and offers in real time. This is their main motivator in many instances, followed by simply wanting to support the brand because they enjoy the product. So front end is deals and offers. Brands can use their social media platforms to highlight flash sales and limited time deals, even leveraging Instagram, the stories functionality to showcase temporary offers in the form of a series of limited time discounts, which really creates a bit of that fear of missing out. A really great tactic there as well, Kevin.
I just want to raise the point that, like, once upon a time, probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago, however long we've done this show, we mentioned, the evolution of workplace and jobs that would be created that we're not even aware of right now. I think this, enticing them with exclusive deals and offers, I think there's a lot of corporate companies and brands out there that are still catching on to how to create the content, because for example, there should probably be a TikTok expert that knows how to create the kind of content that appeals to TikTok, or the
yes.
Right. So the evolution of work is even changing, and like 3 years ago we didn't have TikTok, and like there wasn't space for it or need for it. Now suddenly there's this booming 7-second video social area that we need to be tapping into.
That's a really interesting point you make, because obviously organizations that use creative agencies to help them with their marketing and advertising capability really should have that front and center of the strategies and capabilities that they use these agencies for. Yeah. I think what it does do is it brings into play a very, again, this fell into the conversation today around this talent management business, is that, what are the internal corporate communications departments doing in terms of understanding these technologies and platforms and capabilities, and where are they in respect of their own internal ownership in being able to understand what kind of content works best for that platform, and what are they doing within the organization to create that content and seed it both internally and externally again. And there's this rich pot of daily experience and delivery within the organization just being missed out. So yes, it'd be great to see corporate communication teams having somebody who's proficient in the understanding of the kind of content that's relevant in the platform, but also how to really film it in the correct way and create something that's really beneficial, top and tail it with the brand logo or something like that. But yeah, I like that.
But just to add to that, sorry, Craig, but the last thing I'll say about it is it also enables a certain type of culture. You know, if we look at how it impacts people just by flicking through things and looking through whatever they prefer, if a corporate, an internalized marketing strategy was using it as a useful tool to influence the culture of the organization and really speak of the successes and promote, people that are succeeding within the business and messaging within the business, it could become a really beautiful positioning that you use for your brand and how you position your brand and why people should work at that brand. So
Correct.
there's a lot to it that you can actually start learning from it.
So, digital newsletters with embedded video links and things like that would be absolutely fantastic. And it's an ideal way to film the celebration of success as a deal made, a new super client that's been landed, an award or something like that. So absolutely, it really should become an integral part of internal comms as well, Kevin.
Yeah.
But that plays nicely, or segues nicely into the sixth strategy, which is create more video content. As we know, video is huge among the Gen Z population, with YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram Reels really being highlighted as the most popular platforms. We learned earlier that Gen Z do not spend much time reading blogs or text-based content. As such, Kevin, brands really need to strategically invest in marketing resources so that they can create more short-form videos. And then take that a step further, as I just mentioned a short while ago, actually, what does that look like from an internal capability as well? Video is the most preferred content form when seeing brand ads on social media. And with the ability to combine both visual and audio elements, video can definitely be an impactful and engaging way to get the message across. And you can definitely do so in the shortest amount of time possible, helping you cater for that much shorter attention span Gen Z, but also then use the opportunity to get a lovely conversation going in different segments of messaging as well, Kevin.
Yeah.
The seventh strategy is build meaningful and authentic partnerships. With authenticity being one of the key values of Gen Z consumers, you have to make sure that your partnerships are also genuine and meaningful. Whether you're working with influencers, whether it's celebrities or other brands, it's really crucial to build those authentic connections so that your partnership comes off as true and authentic. And it's those brands of association. This is highlighted by the fact that the influencer marketing landscape is oversaturated, with influencers promoting brands and products just for the sake of getting paid, in many instances lacking authenticity. And latest reports reveal that up to 44% of Gen Z consumers will no longer consider choosing brands that inauthentically partner with celebrities or influencers, Kevin. And the best thing you can do is to find influencers who genuinely love your products and are ideally already fans of your brand. This makes the partnership come off as even more authentic, since the influencer has more than likely already spoken about your brand many times before. Really good point that, Kevin.
Yeah, I love this. Really thought-provoking, Craig. But I mean, what are the key takeaways as we end the show?
Kevin, I want to reference another article that I came across, this one titled Marketing to Generation Z, for our key takeaway points. The article was written by Tony Corey and was published to shareid.com on the 3rd of November 2023. And we note the following points, Kevin. Establish a clear voice. Gen Z connects best with a brand when it's projecting a strong personality. Build community. I mentioned this earlier on. Encourage customers to interact with your brand by creating a range of brand hashtags, and then ask Gen Z to tag your brand in their posts and get that lovely ripple effect going. Next point is leverage influencer marketing. Again, around the authenticity. Gen Z prefer to be engaged by real people. As such, celebrity endorsements are not as convincing. Emphasize visual content. YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, again, the top 3 social media platforms. Why? Because they emphasize visual content, and Gen Zers consume in a short, snappy video format, eye-catching graphics kind of way, Kevin. Take a stance. Great point we've covered before. Authenticity and social impact in brands is very important to this generation, with 77% of Gen Z having done something to stand up for a cause that they believe in, and they expect brands to do the same. That's fantastic. 77%. Really great number, that. Next point here, prioritize diversity. Gen Z is the most racially and ethnically diverse generation yet, and they also support diversity in terms of gender and sexuality. So really this first, and that's why I used the word caring early on, because it's just about understanding the realities and negative challenges that come through racism, ethnic diversity, and then the abuse around gender and sexuality as well. The next point is acknowledge mistakes. Gen Z really cares a lot about their values, and they are not unafraid to call brands out or even cancel brands that don't live up to their expectations. Therefore, the best way is to combat this is it's about being open and honest, Kevin. Take responsibility for the situation or mistake, and brands must explain how they will remedy it both now and into the future. So it's not just a throwaway statement of apologize. It's about these are the remedial actions that we're going to implement to ensure that we mitigate any negativity moving forward. The third last point here is provide text or chat-based customer service. Gen Z grew up with texting as their primary form of communication. 85% of Gen Z would prefer communicating with brands via text or an automated system. Next point is personalized content. Personalized content is a proven strategy across marketing personas, but with 81% of Gen Z preferring personalized ads, it's an absolute must when marketing to this generation, Kevin. And then the last point here, again, offer exclusive discounts. Creating exclusive offers, especially designed for young adults, is a powerful strategy for creating brand loyalty, and this is a growing trend within the growing Gen Z market, Kevin. And those are the key takeaway points for today.
Greg, I think one of the best points here that stand out to me is acknowledge mistakes. And people often move to but that's creating a culture of a cancel culture to a large degree, and it does. But there is an argument to but where's the line of being held accountable for the things you put out and the conversations you have? We're not living in the dark ages. We are living in a world where you're supposed to be accountable for what it is you say and how you make people feel, and well, not essentially how you make them feel, but the statements you put out there. And if you can't support that and sort of align with what it is your brand is saying, I think it's okay that people cancel that.
Yes.
We need to learn as humans that we need to be a little bit more cautious and a little bit more caring about how we speak and accountable to that. I think if we're not, people have the right to cancel you.
Yes. Yes.
So the whole bigger, it's that you can have the argument about, but where does freedom of speech come in? And it's fine to be, you can have your opinion, but how you have your opinion is very important.
Absolutely.
So Craig, so I found this lovely quote, and I think you'll like this one, from Sean Gardner, Forbes #1 social media power influencer. Social media is not just an activity, it's an investment of valuable time and resources. Surround yourself with people who do not just support you and stay with you, but inform your thinking about ways to wow your online presence.
Fantastic.
I think it's an important, part of having an online presence. I mean, someone recently, I won't mention any names, someone who I work with, put out like an aggravated statement, building a brand though, but an aggravated statement online. And I saw this pop up on my screen, and I messaged the person. I was like, you've worked really hard to build a brand. Like, don't let one message or one person upset your day by saying nasty ass things online.
Yes.
Just don't do it. And I was fortunate that someone did that for me the one day. I posted something that that was about Julius Malema, and I thought it was really funny, but it was mocking him. And someone messaged me and said, Kevin, you worked really hard to build a brand, an online presence. Don't let one post like that go and destroy like your personal brand. And that's what I think, you know, like it's being responsible for what we put out there. It's a big thing.
Fantastic.
Craig, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the insights, and I will see you next week.
Next week, that we will. Enjoy your short holiday in between.
Thank you. Have a good one. I'll chat to you later.
Thanks, Kevin. Cheers, bye.